Hey guys, it's Jenny Wolek with the Wolek Group, Keller Williams Realty Advantage in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Thanks for coming back to our Agent Success Secrets and joining me along the journey. I have my friend James Hern with the Hern Group in Kansas City here to talk with us today about the market, his business, his expansion. I mean, we've got so many topics that we can touch on today. Thanks, James, for joining me.
Well, thanks for having me, Jenny. Appreciate it. Appreciate you as well.
Well, we've gone back over the years. It's so fun when we get to go to events and you always just, for some reason, somehow, some way, there's always those certain people that you always see, you always connect with, and you and your brother are that for me.
And we're just like you. We're everywhere.
Maybe that's it. It's just a contact sport and we're always in the same place.
That's right.
Well, let's tell everybody that maybe doesn't know you yet, although you've been on the big stage and you guys have shared all of your story with lots of people. Maybe our audience hasn't heard about you yet. So let's just tell them how you guys got in this business and what your production was last year, what your goals are for this year.
Sure. Love to do that. Love to do that. Well, Michael and I got into this business kind of on separate paths. I started in real estate a long time ago in the mid-90s and had an opportunity to head into the mortgage industry about 4 or 5 years later after I had kind of killed it in the real estate industry. And back then, no one heard of teams. That didn't exist. I hadn't heard anything like that. Didn't know about Keller Williams, was with our, what I'll call our local yokel, just kind of a local brand here that everyone at the time thought was the end all be all. And so that's who I started with, did very, very well with them, went to the mortgage industry, and Michael picked up the real estate part at that time. And so we got about 10 years down the road, which would have been about 2010. And I had grown our banking operation from one state to more than 30 states. So we had seen honestly what expansion could do in a different venue, in a different product, obviously. But we had seen our company be able to do that in that period of time. And at that time, the real estate world and mortgage world wasn't a whole lot of fun. As we all know, we saw a downturn. I was getting kind of cussed out on a regular basis from realtors of all people. So what did I decide to do? I decided to join forces with Michael, and our company, which was Realty Executives, was changing over to Keller Williams. And we saw a huge opportunity to be a team. And in all honesty, we thought it would just be he and I, just be the two of us, and that would be the end of it. Not realizing the huge opportunity that is Keller Williams and continues to be Keller Williams. So take that, fast forward a few years. Michael and I last year did 321 units for a little over $60 million. And we did that based out of Kansas City, where the average sales price for us is about $185. Makes it a little tougher to get big volume numbers. However, the units are there. And we did that we were lucky enough, fortunate enough, and very thankful that Gary created the expansion world, because it gave someone like us an opportunity to grow in a manner that we probably couldn't do unless we were on the coast somewhere. And you know that very well because you're in Tulsa.
Right.
So you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, similar price range. And you guys have really taken off with your expansion ideas. How's that going?
Expansion's going well. And after the new announcements at Mega Camp, it's going to be going very, very well because, again, they're working to make that opportunity even bigger for all of us, and super thankful for that, making it easier to do it in one respect, maybe harder if you haven't been in it already, because I think the barrier to entry is going to change a little bit. It's going to be a little more difficult.
Well, so if people weren't at Mega Camp and they haven't plugged into what you're talking about, why don't you share what that looks like?
I'll share what it looks like to my understanding thus far. We know that's still being worked out a little bit. What it's really looking like is we are creating Keller Williams virtual market centers in every state in the United States in order for folks like me that have offices in Kansas City, St. Louis, other locations outside of our state. But if you're in one state, the ability to put those individuals in one market center, be dealing with one cap situation, just like you would if, Jenny, you built your team in your market center, we built ours in ours. You could have the lead cap and then smaller caps below it, instead of you're in every market center, you're paying a full cap, and you end up, it's hundreds of thousands or $1,000,000. That's not the case anymore. We're making it way more affordable, which in all honesty, probably is going to put a strain on some of our competition that thinks they've got it all figured out.
Yeah.
And so what it's done is, it sounds as though we're going to have a lead agent cap in these virtual market centers that's approximately half of what it is right now. And then they would be able to build that team just like you and I would in our main market center, our hub. And that makes them much more competitive, keeps the cost down, and in all honesty, gives Keller Williams market share, gives you as the team the ability to grow and expand and just be a huge, huge force yourself. So it's super exciting for anybody. I literally met with an agent from another company, maybe the second largest company in real estate today, and they can't do it the way we do it. And so he's looking at coming over. I was helping our market center get him over. It's going to attract people like that. And that's the super exciting part about it. As we see the ground start to quake a little bit with the shift, we're going to see folks looking for a new and better way to do business. And this is it.
So when you guys heard the news, I know you act fast and you guys are quick to get going. What was your action plan right away of what are you going to do to get into action on this?
Our action plan happened immediately. We were meeting with people within 30 minutes and talking to people on the phone who obviously we'd been kind of nurturing along as things go. We in this business, and as you know, being successful yourself, you don't wait till they figure it all out to go out and do what you need to do. We go ahead and forge forward. And so literally we've set meetings up. We've got people coming into our hub. We're going out and meeting with people. I've met with 3 people in the last 7 days that have come in town to kind of talk about that. So it's exciting. It doesn't mean everything will work out for them, but what it did was it opened the door to those folks that weren't really that interested a month ago.
Well, you mentioned something about barrier to entry might be a little harder for those if, like me, I haven't expanded yet. So You have some experience. You've already been living in this world. What could be the challenge? So we don't want all agents to run out and start expanding.
Right. I know in the beginning that about the main barrier to entry was they wanted you to be a $5 million producer. I personally don't believe a $5 million producer probably has the systems in place to expand and carry other locations, because we're much larger than that. You know how hard it is to grow a team when you can knock on their door next door, let alone growing one maybe 30 minutes away, 3 hours away, 10 hours away. It's a lot more difficult, lot more difficult.
Yeah.
So in and of itself, that barrier existed to begin with. Now the barriers, I believe, will be related to, do you have the staying power to support these folks, whoever that might be, wherever they might be? And I think they're just going to ask a few more questions. It's not to keep anybody out of the business. Again, I'm not speaking for Keller Williams because I don't know all the ins and outs of what they're figuring out. I just hear the rumblings, as you probably have as well. They're just going to make it a little bit more difficult to just walk in and all of a sudden have people representing KW in multiple areas, states, whatever it might be, that maybe don't have it all quite put together.
Yeah.
It's hard even if you do.
Right. Well, you mentioned something called staying power.
Yes.
And we chatted on this before we got on here. Let's talk about that. Staying power probably means having the business to maintain expansion partners and your own hub. So as the market is shifting, what are some things you're training your team on?
Well, if I said getting back to the basics, Gary would say, who gave you permission to leave them? We talk about it. You talk about it all the time. Guys, this is what we need to be doing. We need to be lead generating. And we work to find what works for our individuals. If that's someone in our hub or someone in another location expansion-wise, where's their strong suit? You know, some people build their business solely on open houses. And that's awesome. If that's your lead generation tool, knock it out of the park, but don't do it on Saturday or just Sunday. Do it 5 days a week. And
Right.
make it, if it's the phone, get on the phone. So it really goes back to the shift and goes back to find the motivated. Yes, exactly. And that might be setting, I don't know, right here on my desk as well. Because we all know where we're at right now. The ground's quaking a little bit. And so you have to have that staying power. And by doing so, we all have different, what I believe, avenues of leads coming in. It's just those leads start drying up. I'm trying to remember who used to say it, because it's been a long time since we've talked about the shift, but they equated it to going to the faucet to get your bucket full of leads in the morning. And one morning they're just gone.
Yeah.
So when that happens, and if that's how you survive and your team and everyone on your team survives, you got a problem. So that staying power is gone. So you have to be proactively prospecting. It totally changes your business, and it will insulate your business from any problems down the road.
It's so true. And I love what you said about mastering the thing you're good at.
Right.
And so what are some things that what are your top sources of business that you are forging ahead on mastering those?
Right. We are very sphere related, and we have gotten more so over the past several years because, as you mentioned, being on stage with Gary, we were talking about, hey, you've told us our business is our database, or as Lance likes to call it, our data bank. And it really is our bank. And we make deposits in it, we make withdrawals. And by doing so, our deposits are doing client events. We do those on a monthly basis. Sometimes they're really, really big. Sometimes they're more of a minor, even a seminar type based thing. By doing so, we stay in front of our clients at all times. And as Michael says, we're wanting them to simply think of us as their resource for everything. Mm-hmm. So whatever they need, if they need a painter, if they need a landscaper, if they need a roofer, whatever it might be related to their home, or even taxes, who do you guys know or use? We want to be the people they call because they know that we have their best interest at heart always. Our mantra is simply 2 words in our team room, huge words across our wall, are serve first. That's what we have. And it's simply, everything else falls in place. If we take care of those people first, we don't have any problems whatsoever. Regardless of what the market does, people still have to live somewhere. Mm-hmm. And regardless of whether they're paying their mortgage or their landlord's mortgage, they're paying a mortgage. So they might as well own. Because we know the landlord, if things go up in value, guess what else goes up? The rent. So you might as well have your own house. You might as well be able to take that tax deduction. It's life, and it runs in cycles. So we know we're going into that possible shift that, as you and I were talking beforehand, doesn't necessarily make sense with where inventory's at the moment.
Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned loving on your database. We all know it's important. How big is your Met database?
Okay. Our Met database is between 7,000 and 8,000 people.
Okay.
We have a database, but we can't handle that at the moment.
Right. So you're saying that they know that you're the resource for all things. How are you translating that? How do they know you're real people and you're getting that across?
Sure. Well, we do it by making them stumble over us everywhere that they possibly go. And similar to you, we do video marketing through Viral, and something that we're actually just rolling out right now in a big way there. We make sure that we are on the phone to them twice a month. We have all-day call days. And those all-day call days are what we build around our events, the before and after. And so we're calling to either invite them to an event or call and thank them for being at the event, or sorry, I missed you, and asking, oh, by the way, I call the Columbo. You're not old enough to know what that means, probably, Jenny. But the old detective Columbo was always turning around and going, oh, by the way, Yeah, it just so happens we're looking for a house in your neighborhood for some folks that are moving into town. Do you know of anybody looking to buy or sell, looking to sell their house in your neighborhood
Yeah.
and figure out, they want to give back to you because you've given so much to them.
Right.
That's,
Oh, I love that. We've been struggling with we know we need to be lead generating. We know we need to be proactively prospecting. And then how can we be the most efficient in those calls? And
right.
we're already loving on our database. So by calling before and after events, and then not who do you know that needs to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, changing it to we have buyers.
Right.
Who do you know that wants to sell in your area?
Because we do, and you do. We all do, because there's just that pent up demand, and we need to fill those orders, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what other questions should I have asked you that I didn't, that you get to talk about all the time, and is something you guys just are doing amazing in your business?
Well, I will tell you, and I tell our folks, if I ever tell you, or Michael ever tells you, we've got it all figured out, don't walk away, turn and run as fast as you can, because we don't pretend to. Hey, was it an honor to be on the stage? Absolutely, with Gary, but you kind of wonder, okay, was I good enough to be up there, kind of thing. That's what you think. So what we do really well with our clients and with our team is that we want to figure out what's their big why. Mm-hmm. What drives them?
Yeah.
And on our clients, that's easy, Jenny. You've got whatever house they're looking for, whatever their goals are in ownership, or they want their second home or whatever it might be, and they want to cash out at this time, be on their way. However, it's not that easy with our team. So the very first thing when we're onboarding someone, we take them through the process to determine what their big why is, because we can't help them get where they want to be, nor will they feel satisfied with us if we don't know and project to know what they would like to have out of our relationship. We know they're going to fit in our world, or they wouldn't have even gotten to the table to that onboarding process. We just want to make sure we're hitting on all cylinders with them. And I use Matt as a huge example, which Matt Levchenko is our director of expansion. He's also a bold coach, and that was his goal. He wanted to be a bold coach when he joined us, and he wanted to do that in 3 years. And we kind of put it on a fast track with the help of his MAPS coach and Michael and I. We kind of got him the opportunity. Sometimes it's something like that where they can't get into that room. Yet once you can get them in that room, they have to win the day. And just like whatever their deal might be, if they wanted a charity that dug wells for water in countries where they have those types of problems, if that was what they wanted to do, we can get them the opportunity to where they have the cash, maybe even show them how to set that all up, have as an opportunity for our group helps to help fund that. Yet they still have to take the initiative and drive it because that's their love and their why. So we just want to give them that possibility. So that's kind of some of what we do. And that's how we help to retain those people, not only attract them, but retain them.
Right. So this just really exemplifies your team culture and why people want to be on your team, be with you, be in your space, and then stick around and help you grow.
Absolutely. And I'm not going to lie, Jenny, it wasn't necessarily that way in the beginning. In the beginning, sometimes we were our standards and take whoever's willing to be a part of you. And it's a mistake. And it's one sometimes you have to just learn yourself.
Yeah.
And we've learned it. I know it's kind of like telling your kids. I've got grown kids now, and 25 and 22-year-old. And I can tell them till I'm blue in the face, hey, don't do this because this happened to me. Sometimes they'll listen, sometimes they won't.
No.
And so sometimes we take our lumps and learn the hard way.
Yeah, that's why we fail forward, right? Every day.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
You have been so wonderful to share your valuable time with me. If someone has a referral for the Kansas City area or the other areas that you serve, how can they get in touch with you guys?
Well, sure. They can reach the Hern Group at 816-529-4949 or email me at james@hernhomes.com. So that would be the easy way to get a hold of us. We'd love your referrals.
Well, you're so awesome for sharing, and tell your brother hello for me and Matt as well.
I will do so.
And I will talk to you soon.
Tell your team hello from me as well.
I sure will. If you guys need anything from me, my number's 918-706-9845. Have a great one. Bye.